Welcome back to the AGI Post. We spend hundreds of hours each day deeply researching the highest signal papers, podcasts, and articles on the economics of AGI, bringing you sharp 5 to 10-minute recaps so you can keep up. Go to theagipost.com to customize what you receive.
Today we're covering Chase Lochmiller's Stanford lecture on the economics of building AI factories at gigawatt scale.
Welcome to Abilene, Texas. Crusoe is building a large AI data center campus there. 8 buildings, about 4 million square feet, and a planned 1.2 gigawatts of capacity.
The first campus is built for Oracle and OpenAI's Stargate infrastructure. A new adjacent campus is planned for Microsoft. The site takes electricity, runs dense clusters of AI chips, and serves model output to customers.
Chase Lochmiller is Crusoe's co-founder and CEO. Crusoe builds and operates the physical AI factory used by customers such as Oracle, OpenAI, and Microsoft. The powered buildings, energy systems, cooling, construction program, and cloud infrastructure around the chips.
Lochmiller breaks the Capex into 2 big buckets. One bucket is the data center and power plant, land, substations, power distribution, buildings, cooling, labor, and construction.
The other bucket is IT, GPUs, networking, CPUs, storage, racks, deployment, and the software layer that lets customers use the cluster.
Abilene starts with cheap power. West Texas had lots of wind and solar, but not enough power lines to move it somewhere else. Sometimes there was more power than buyers, so prices went negative.
Crusoe's move was to put a power-hungry AI campus where the power already existed.
The industrial build-out includes substations to receive power, transformers and switchgear to distribute it, a gas plant to support the site, chillers and water loops to remove heat, concrete and steel for the buildings, plumbers and pipe fitters for the cooling system, electricians for the power system, and construction crews to bring the buildings online.
The compute layer comes after those site layers. GPUs sit in racks inside the data halls. Networking connects the racks and buildings into a larger cluster. CPUs and storage support the workloads. Managed services expose the model through an API.
Lochmiller calls the sequence from electrons to tokens. Energy enters the site. The campus turns it into compute, and the compute serves model output.
To understand the size of Abilene, start with simple napkin math. A gigawatt is 1,000 megawatts. Abilene's planned 1.2 gigawatts is about 1,200 megawatts.
To put this in perspective, a gigawatt is the scale of a large city or a small country like Jamaica. A typical nuclear reactor produces around 1 gigawatt. Fucking ginormous.
In the lecture, Lochmiller normalizes the costs per megawatt to explain the build-out. Capex means the upfront money required to create the data center, power plant, and compute cluster. His rough all-in number is about $60 million per megawatt.
About $20 million per megawatt is the physical campus, buildings, substations, electrical distribution, cooling equipment, construction labor, materials, and the power plant. Scaled to 1,200 megawatts, that is about $24 billion.
About $40 million per megawatt is IT. Lochmiller puts roughly $30 million of that into GPUs.
So this is why Jensen is always smiling. The rest is roughly $4 million into networking, roughly $3 million into CPUs and storage, and the remainder into in-room equipment, deployment, shipping, and related labor. Scaled to 1,200 megawatts, the IT side is about $48 billion, including roughly $36 billion of GPUs.
Add the 2 buckets together, and Abilene scales to roughly $72 billion of upfront Capex under Lochmiller's lecture math.
It's worth pointing out these numbers are rough, but directionally correct.
So, who makes money? And how does more than $60 billion get repaid? That's the question underneath the whole lecture.
It's worth pointing out something Lochmiller mentions at the start of the lecture. The deeper observation is that tokens can turn energy, GPUs, and data centers into digital work capacity faster than demographics can add human labor.
The factory only works if customers keep buying enough tokens from it.
If Crusoe just rents access to the chips, Lochmiller says the revenue is roughly $15 million per megawatt per year.
If Crusoe hosts the model and sells the API endpoint that serves ChatGPT-style or Anthropic-style queries, he says revenue can move closer to $30 million per megawatt per year.
That is why depreciation is interesting here. The building, the power plant, and the chips all age on different clocks.
If the chips become worthless quickly, the payback is brutal. But Lochmiller points out that H100 prices went back up as agent demand grew, which means older compute can keep earning if people keep using the tokens. Let's go through the big ideas from the talk. An AI factory only works if the payback works. At roughly $60 million per megawatt, the operator has to care about asset life, depreciation, and whether it captures token service margin. Here's Lochmiller explaining how the managed services layer changes the payback.
Interact with individual virtual machines or a large managed Kubernetes cluster of compute. But for folks that actually just want to interact with the model, right? If you're actually hosting a model, again, the title of this slide deck is From Electrons to Tokens, right? So how do you get to tokens? And where's the value uplift that you get from that? When you add in sort of this managed services layer where you're actually serving the model, you're hosting a model and actually providing an endpoint for a customer to basically, hit that API endpoint and actually serve those ChatGPT or, those Anthropic queries that everybody's sort of, sending on their phones or laptops, you end up improving the margins quite a bit, adding, call it another 15, it's anywhere from 5 to 15 million per megawatt. So you end up with in a very optimistic case, call it $30 or 30 million per megawatt per.
AI scale starts where power is stranded. Lochmiller says Abilene worked because West Texas had cheap renewable power and not enough transmission to move it elsewhere. Here's Lochmiller describing why Abilene made sense for a power-hungry workload.
Our insight here is that in Abilene, Texas, many folks had never heard of until we put a shovel in the ground in Abilene. So why do we go to Abilene? Abilene is this area of West Texas that is consistently very windy and very sunny. And so a lot of renewable energy developers had gone there to build out large-scale renewable energy production because they were incentivized by something called production tax credits, where they basically get paid by the government to produce clean electrons. And they have to sell them to someone, independent of sort of the price. And what that resulted in was actually an overinvestment in renewable generation infrastructure in this West Texas market. And power prices were actually negative, right? Because there was no marginal buyer for this power, and there wasn't enough transmission to get the power to somewhere where it actually was useful. So we said, great, have we got a power-hungry application?
Tokens are being framed as digital labor, not just software output. The idea is that data centers, GPUs, and energy can create work capacity faster than population growth can. Here's Lochmiller tying agents, tasks, and digital labor together.
The reason for that is that for the first time in history, what we're able to do is we're able to actually create this sense of digital labor, right? When you give an agent a task, when you give your Claude bot a task of going to doing something, it, go create, a CRM for my new product that I just launched. That is literally digital labor that's being represented and, or that's being brought into the world. And, historically, labor is this thing that you could really only change via the birth rate, right? And it's got a 20-year lead time, right? It's a massive incubation period, right? You got to send them to schools and feed them and house them and whatever, like all this stuff. I have 3 kids, it takes a long time to sort of change delta L naturally. But for the first time in history, what we're able to do is actually change this delta L digitally through sort of the investment in buying data centers and buying GPUs and really accelerate.
The bottleneck has moved to powered buildings. Lochmiller says chips are easier to get than places where you can plug in a large GPU cluster. Here's Lochmiller on powered shells becoming the constraint.
Like today, the core bottleneck is like powered, like energized data centers, right? Like powered shells where you can plug in chips and start operating a big GPU compute cluster. That today is the bottleneck, but the bottleneck moves around a lot, right? Sometimes it's getting power to those data centers. Sometimes it's individual components that go into building the data centers, electrical equipment, switchgear, chillers, power gen, chips. Chips is kind of softened as the bottleneck. I think access to chips has become more available. It's really finding places where you can put those chips.
The GPU still eats most of the megawatt. Lochmiller's rounded estimate puts about $30 million per megawatt into GPUs alone. Here's Lochmiller breaking down the GPU-heavy IT spend.
When you look at the IT Capex, this is basically the compute infrastructure that's going into the building. It's roughly 40 million per megawatt, right? And this is kind of like forward-looking. This is sort of next-gen stuff. 30 million of that is going to the GPUs, right? That's why you always look so happy. I don't know. It's always smiling, Jensen. And then where does the rest go? 4 million roughly to the networking, right? These are very complex networking systems, especially when you're thinking about the investment of interconnecting these GPUs together as one giant coherent cluster. When you look at the latest generations of GPUs, right here is the GB300 or GB200, I'm not sure, but what NVIDIA has come out with there is actually a full rack design, right? Which means that all of the GPUs, there's 72 GPUs in that rack. They're all interconnected on the same NVLink domain.
That is the core economics of the AI factory. Power, buildings, cooling, GPUs, software, and a business model that has to repay an enormous upfront build.
Go to theagipost.com to customize what you receive.